So you just got to Act 3, or perhaps you're already in it, and you want to know what's the best build. Well, you come to the right place, because as you can see with the B-roll, we have a one-shot build that will have you deleting bosses and trash pack. This build goes over the bare minimum you need to beat every boss, and with that out the way, let's get into this, yeah? We'll first start off with the main damage dealer. If you've been following my guides, then Verso has been usurped. In Act 2, the damage cap was 9,999. So all the high multipliers were irrelevant. Well, after beating Act 2, you get Painted Power, which uncaps the damage cap. This means we could deal as much damage as we can. Maelle deals the most damage out of any character now that you have access to her full skill tree. For skills, you'll want Guard Down. This will apply Defenseless on every single enemy, so we could deal 25% more damage to them. Last Chance, so we could go to Virtuoso stance to deal 200% more damage and have the AP to do so. Sendhal has the highest damage multiplier out of all extreme attacks. If you're familiar with Atlas games that have low, medium, heavy, and extreme attacks, then you might know where this is going. The text does not always indicate the multiplier, and Sendhal is the best out of all of them. Phantom Strike is here to deal with trash packs. Her best weapon is Lithium. It has the highest power, and the scaling is something you should naturally be allocating into anyway. The effects are nice if an enemy is faster, so you could counterattack and go into Virtuoso stance, or keep mark on the enemy that has multiple phases. Use whatever you have until you acquire this. Now some of you may be wondering, why am I not recommending Medaloom? That's because this weapon is bugged and does more damage than it should be. The level 20 trait is doubling all damage and not just burn damage. Maybe when you're watching this, it has been fixed. As for Luminous, we'll want Death's Door. Last Chance will bring us to 1 HP, so we may as well deal 50% more damage. Augmented First Strike. This build aims to kill any boss before they get a turn, so adding another 50% more damage helps achieve that. Auto Rush, so we could get more speed to go before our support unit. Burn Affinity to deal 25% more damage against burnt enemies. Cheater, so we get 2 turns to set up our combo. Confident Fighter. 30% more damage, but we can't heal. Good thing we weren't planning on using any heals to begin with. Now, depending on how far you're in Act 3, will determine these next 2 Pictos. If you're early on, then Critical Burn. This will increase our critical hit chance when hitting a burn target by 25%. Critical Moment will give us another 50% critical hit chance increase if we're 30% or lower on our HP. This will already be achieved thanks to Last Chance. First Offensive to get another 50% damage increase with no downside, since they'll be dead before they could hit us. First Strike to go before the boss. Glass Cannon for 25% more damage. Greater Defenseless to make our Guard Down go from 25% to 40%. Immaculate for another 30% damage increase. In Medias Res for 3 shields. Since we won't be taking any damage, it may seem unnecessary, but it'll make sense in a bit. Inverted Affinity. This is another 50% damage increase. Painted Power, so we could finally surpass the damage cap. Powered Attack to make use of excess AP for 20% more damage. Powerful Shield. This gives us 10% more damage per shield, which perfectly synergizes within Medias Res. Roulette is optional for those who want to see bigger numbers. Shield Affinity is another Picto that synergizes within Medias Res. We get another 30% damage increase as long as we have 1 shield. Stun Boost for another 30% damage increase against broken enemies. Tainted is a 15% damage increase per status effect. This synergizes with Inverted Affinity. Teamwork for 10% more damage boost just for having our teammates existing. Warming Up for a free 15% damage increase since it does take 2 turns to set up. Our first utility support is Verso. He went from the main damage dealer in Act 2 to now our support in Act 3. The only skill he needs is Phantom Stars. This will hit every enemy 5 times and it can break them. The best weapon for this build is Cereso. We get this way back in Act 2, but it didn't make sense equipping it because we were the highest damage dealer. Well, now that we have been dethroned, he can take advantage of this to give a maximum 100% damage increase to the party at S rank. if this weapon actually functioned the way it would. As of recording this weapon is bugged and does not provide the level 4 trait. Hopefully they fix this soon so we could use it to its full glory. Otherwise, use whatever you want, as the damage does not matter. As for Lumina's, he's gonna need a ton of different ones from Maelle. Auto death so we could die at the start of battle, and to synergize with a bunch of other Pictos. Auto rush so we have enough speed to go before the boss if they have a phase 2. Breaking death so all enemies' break gauge is 100% when we die. Burning death to apply 3 burns to all enemies so critical burn can be active for Maelle. Energizing break to get 3 AP back per broken enemy. Energizing death to give all allies 4 AP when we die. Energizing revive to give all allies 3 AP upon revival. Energizing turn to get an additional AP per turn. Energy master so every AP we get is increased by 1. This is here for boss fights without any additional enemies. Greater power to increase the boost from powerful from 25% to 40%. Marking break to apply break when breaking an enemy for an additional 50% damage increase. Powerful on Sciel. When we apply Sciel, we also apply powerful. Protecting death ties the missing link with powerful on Sciel and greater powerful. Revive paradox to go right away after being revived. Second chance to bring us back from the dead and synergize with all our death and revival Pictos. Shielding death to give all our allies 3 shield upon dying. This is another 30% damage increase for Maelle. Shortcut to go right away after reviving and skipping the speed tuning process. Slow break to apply slow on breaking an enemy. This is to help us go before bosses with a phase 2. Our final teammate is Sciel. She makes a return once again from Act 2. She can now fully utilize her support skill Fortune's Fury. With the damage cap of 9,999 being so low and easy to achieve, we never had to use it. But now that it's uncapped, we'll be utilizing Fortune's Fury for double damage. Intervention is here to give an ally a turn right away. Her best weapon for this build is Son. This can only be obtained in Act 3. This is the ultimate support weapon. It applies Greater Rush, which takes our rush from 33% and brings it up to 58% after having a moon charge. It applies Greater Slow, which takes slow from 25% to 40% after acquiring a sun charge. The level 20 trait gives us 3 AP every time she buffs. Since that's all she'll be doing, she doesn't have any AP problems, making her very cheap to build. As for Lumina's, you'll want auto death so she could die just like Verso at the start of combat. Auto rush so she goes before the boss. Energizing death to ensure everyone has 9 AP to start the battle. Energizing revive to further ensure this occurs. Faster than stronger is a cheaper version of the cheater Picto. Since we don't need Sciel's damage, this will save you on Lumina. First strike to ensure she goes before the boss. Second chance to save a turn from needing to use a skill or tint to revive her. Shielding death to give an additional 30% damage boost to Maelle. You could hold a total of 9 shields, and this will give the missing 3 to her, so her powerful shield gets maximum value. As for attributes, you want everyone spec'd into agility. The reason for this is to ensure we go before a boss when they have a second phase. Vitality is useless since you should be dodging and parrying all damage from the enemy. This means defense is in the same boat. As for might, you only want to invest in this if your weapon scales with agility or luck. That's because you can only cap on 3 parameters, with 99 being the cap. Since lithium scales with agility and luck, this means we will get the most damage possible out of this weapon, excluding the bugged Medaloom. With this much luck, we actually end up not needing some critical Pictos, so once you get 50% here, you can remove critical burn. Once you get to 75%, you could remove critical moment and put back critical burn to save you some Lumina. As for Pictos, I highly recommend you equip Cheater, Greater Defenseless, and shield affinity. This will give you the most critical hit rate and speed while reducing the amount of Lumina needed. Verso would like Energizing Turn, Energy Master, and Second Chance for the same exact reasons. Lastly, Sciel wants Auto Rush, First Strike, and Shielding Death for the most speed and to lower the Lumina requirements. Now that everything is assembled, how does this build work? When the battle starts, all Death and Revival Pictos will activate. You'll then want to use Phantom Stars. This will break all the enemies and apply Mark. If Cereso weapon gets patched, then you'll want to do another Phantom Star to get to S rank. In doing so, you want to equip Double Mark Picto to try and preserve this so Maelle can get the damage boost. Otherwise, skip your turn. Maelle will apply Guard Down on the first turn, and then use Last Chance on the second turn to go to Virtuoso stance. Sciel will first buff Maelle with Fortune's Fury, then use Intervention on Maelle. Now use Centaur to finish the fight. If you're fighting multiple enemies, then you want to do the exact same skill rotation. The only difference is you're using Phantom Strike to deal damage. Hopefully you found this video helpful, and if you have any unanswered questions, then ask down below. And if you enjoyed this video, consider checking out this one right here. Until the next video, I'll see ya!